Hey, everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangout. This is episode 366. It is the 17th of November. We are 1 week away from Thanksgiving in the US and Black Friday stuff, all sorts of craziness getting ready to erupt, but we're glad we're here. We're going to be answering your questions today. So I do appreciate, looks like we've got some great questions. I know I found another one in the Facebook group, which if you haven't joined the Facebook group, you can find the links to that from the Hump Day Hangouts page, which is at semanticmastery.com/HD questions. For those of you who catch the replays on YouTube, you might want to go there, check out all the good stuff over there. So anyways, but to all of you watching live, thanks for being here. Appreciate you being here with us today. I'm going to do some quick introductions. We got some announcements, and then we're going to get into answering your questions. So first of all, Chris, how you doing today?
Doing good. And I'm really excited because today I got to taste the fruits of yesterday's labor. And I made some pate, like my buddies, you know that. So like it was really good. Like I couldn't believe that it's ready already this morning. So like was quite happy about that. Basically, I'm making the best out of the lockdown situation here. So like gotta be creative, work on the business, and
make some
what
food.
makes you happy, you know, learn some new skills.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I got lucky. My wife Jenny made some stew last night, but she'd used steaks and then bacon and some other stuff and made like a chili con carne type of thing. Oh my God, it was so good. So love this time of year. So before we get too off the tracks into the food discussion, Bradley, how you doing today?
Well, I'm busy as hell preparing for our Black Friday specials that we're doing, which is not, we're going against the grain. We're not going to be doing Black Friday sales and all that shit. We're doing value bomb, free training giveaway. And I created, like, I spent the entire 2 days now working on that, on what I'm going to be sharing and giving away for Black Friday. And it's an entire course. There's no question. And so it's a really, really powerful, what I call content mirroring process. And so I thought it was going to be done today, and it's not. I've still got one more module to complete, which I'm going to try to get done this evening, or if not this evening, first thing tomorrow morning. But then it'll be fully ready. And so I encourage you guys, you know, while everyone else is trying to get your money on Black Friday, and I completely understand, we're going to be just giving shit away. So be on the lookout for that for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm going to be focused with my clients on getting the money. So that's what I do with my agency is e-commerce. Email marketing. And so I'm focused on getting the money for them. But yeah, we will be putting out some great content. But when we put it out, it's going to be over the Black Friday weekend. Highly suggest you take a look at it then. We haven't discussed exactly when, but we are going to take that material down. It is going to become part of some other stuff we're doing. So it's not going to be public forever. But we did want to say, hey, if you want to do something valuable that doesn't cost you money during the Black Friday timeframe, we want to deliver some value to you. And give everyone who watches, subscribes, is on the email list a chance at that. So, yeah. So with that said, let me get into a couple quick announcements. If you haven't yet, by the way, gotten the GMB, I've got to make up something for BMB.
Well, it's changing to GBP.
Yeah, right? That's right. So now I'm going to have to edit all of this stuff. So,
and GBP is harder to say than GMB, in my opinion. So
we're just going to be like, well, if there's some Google-ish, my-ish, business-ish type of stuff you need to get done, Bradley's GMB process checklist is definitely what you should check out. We get a lot of questions, of course, from people. I know we talk about digital marketing. We know a lot of you are doing local SEO, and that's a big part of it. And if you don't have that checklist, you should head over to gmbprocess.com. Grab that. It's for free. It's Bradley's own checklist. It's awesome. I'll leave it at that. And then after that, though, for those of you, I know we have some mastermind members watching us right now, but for those of you who aren't, if you really want to take your results to the next level, the mastermind is a community where you want to be. The royal we here, the three of us are part of course, that mastermind, but also we're parts of groups in other areas. And this has probably been one of the things that's helped us grow personally and as a group the most. And we know it from experience and from running one. So if you want to find out more about that, you can find out more at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. Whether you're an agency owner, consultant, you're doing lead gen or brick and mortar, happy to have you there so long as you think of yourself, or rather you're at least moving in the direction of being an action taker. We don't want people who just come hang out and don't do anything. We love seeing and helping people get results. Cool. All right, guys, that's my quick announcements. Is there anything else we need to cover? I think we talked a little bit about Black Friday. Got the announcements out. Is there anything else I'm missing?
Yeah. People can invite and bring their friends for our Black Friday training.
Ooh, yes, please do. Share it. Yeah, I mean, we are making it public. Like we said, it's going to be taken down after a few days, but if you know somebody who could get some value from it, by all means, please share it. Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Chris.
Very cool.
Cool. Let's do this.
All right, we got lots of questions. So yeah, let me grab the screen. We'll get into it. Okay. Zoom in a little bit.
Good to go.
Sweet. Okay, Ray says first, she says, or they say, will optimizing for core web vitals improve my rankings? Have you seen significant changes? I have not. I wanted to test that. So I had one of my own lead gen sites, and then I had a client site as well that I submitted. One of the hosts that I really like using is WPX hosting. And they have it's a free service. Well, they'll optimize for core web vitals and page speed optimization, kind of both at the same time. And it's a great service, and it's free for each website that you import or migrate into WPX. They'll do it one time for free, and then after that you got to pay for it. But it's great. They do a really good job on it. It takes them 3 or 4 days to do it, but when it comes back, the speeds are incredible. They use W3 total cache and they optimize. And anyway, the whole point the reason why I'm saying all this is because I took 2 different sites that had some, kind of lower numbers on the core web vital stuff, and had them optimize, and they came back way better. And I didn't see any difference at all as far as ranking. So I don't know that it makes a difference. It may in some cases, but at least in the kind of local type sites that I do, I didn't notice any difference at all. So, but then again, who knows how long it would take before you would see some sort of a ranking increase if it produces one. Because, other than waiting for 3 or 4 weeks from the time that it was completed, then I started doing other stuff. So it's really hard to tell. To really isolate that would be to just take something that's already, ranking wherever it's ranking that you're not doing any sort of other SEO to, and then try to optimize for core web vitals and see if it makes it move. And I didn't notice any difference. I'm not to say that it won't. I didn't see any difference from it. So I don't know how much of an effect it had, if that makes sense. Friendly Web. Yes, I see that. This is a suggestion for one of the legit providers. And it's funny because the one that you're talking about here, he's actually, I've chatted with him on legit, and he's actually taken, gone through some of the semantic mastery training. And I've started testing some of his links, some of his gigs inside of legit as well. So I appreciate that. I am fully aware, and I am testing some of his stuff. In fact, I've even got a couple of links to some similar services in the training for next week for Black Friday. So thank you for that. Andy says, hello, I'd like to make use of the YouTube Viper tool to the max. By the way, that's something else, is we have a Viper tools link, if you, an SM short link, Adam. I don't know if you want to grab it, but drop that as well. But I'm going to be talking about that for Black Friday too. So that's part of the training that I did. There's some click-through manipulation that I use at the end of the content mirroring process that really kind of helps to throw fuel to, add fuel to the fire. It makes everything just work way better. So I'll be talking about that next weekend as well. So what Andy's asking is, what would be the best tool for video SEO? Video SEO I'm assuming would be the YouTube, the Video Viper, Andy, because, first of all, I don't do a lot of video. I don't really do any video SEO stuff anymore. With the content mirroring process that I'm going to be sharing next weekend for Black Friday, I have been using the Video Viper because it's part of an overall SEO strategy, but I don't typically just do YouTube SEO. And the reason why is because 3 or 4 years ago, when I learned how to do Google ads for YouTube, I found out that I could rank videos by running paid traffic from Google ads to them. So I really stopped doing any major video SEO stuff, other than still I optimize the video files before uploading them. essentially tag, add metadata to the files. Then I optimize the video when I upload it to YouTube, right? So it's the on-page optimization for the YouTube video itself. And then, depending on the project, very rarely anymore, but I used to always upload videos to a channel that had multiple syndication networks connected to it. So it automatically cascade throughout all those syndication networks as embeds or links, embeds and links, right? And so, but other than that, I really haven't done any SEO stuff to the videos, because I would just immediately after uploading it to a channel that was connected to a bunch of syndication networks, as soon as the video was uploaded, I would go set up a YouTube ads campaign in Google Ads to get traffic and local IP clicks to it and everything else. And that would inevitably rank the video. And it was really mainly because of engagement signals from Google Ads. However, that said, based on what I'm doing for the content mirroring process that I'm sharing next weekend, I have been testing a lot more with actually doing some more traditional SEO stuff to the YouTube videos, like link building to the YouTube videos, the playlist URL, if you're doing a playlist, YouTube silo, which we teach at YouTube Silo Academy. So building links to the playlist URL, the individual video URLs, and then also doing embeds and then link building to the embeds, if that makes sense. And then using the Video Viper to run traffic through the videos and then click on the links in the description, and very specifically, the target URLs that I put in the description that I want click activity on. And so that, again, other than, I'm just telling you this because I haven't really done much video SEO stuff in the last several years. In the last few weeks, as I was developing this kind of content mirroring process out, I started doing more traditional video SEO stuff, but it wasn't for the benefit of the video. It's for ultimately ranking the GMB and the local website. I don't really care if the videos rank or not. That's not really my intended outcome. If they rank, great, but I don't really care if they do or not. It's more for ranking GMBs and the location landing page, so the website associated with the project as well. So hopefully that makes sense. But to get back to your question, also the key, so for what would be the best tool for video SEO, as far as I know, it would be the Video Viper, right? But also the Traffic Viper, the Google Traffic Viper, that's what does like a Google search and click, right? So it goes to Google and it can do direct traffic or search and click. If your video is starting to rank in Google search, then you could also do, as far as I know, I haven't tried this, but as far as I know, you could also run search and click traffic from Google to the YouTube video. Okay, so I think a combination of the two of them would work really well. The YouTube Viper is obviously where it gets views and it will do click activity to the links in the description, which that's also another good point though, Andy. If you create a silo, so a YouTube silo, again, you do that using playlists, which is a container essentially, and also interlinking from, the videos within the silo. So you put a link in the description, let's say, so, top of silo video. So then you'd have a supporting video number 1 would link in the video description to the video URL of video number 1, right? The top of silo, and then supporting video 2 would link to supporting post 1 or supporting video 1, and so on and so forth. And so if you've got Video Viper, you can actually direct it to click on the video URLs in the description, right, to the previous video in the silo. And that's also another really good signal, right? Because that's showing daisy chained clicks from one video to the next within a playlist, which is within a silo. So those are great activity signals as well. So the YouTube Viper is good for all of that. Like I said, the Traffic Viper, as far as I know, I've not tested this because, like I said, I don't typically try to rank videos anymore using because most of the time, like I said, the YouTube ads will end up ranking them if they're going to rank. But the YouTube ads give me the desired traffic and exposure for the video that I want anyway. But what I'm saying is if it is starting to rank in Google search, you could probably use the Traffic Viper to do a search and click to watch the video as well. Okay. So he says the keyword that I'm trying to go after is between medium and high competition. How do I calculate the percentage of views I should run, targeting one or set of keywords, etc.? To be honest, I don't know about that specifically, other than, if you have keyword search volume metrics for that particular keyword, you could probably base it on that. But again, I don't typically try to rank videos, anymore. Like, so I haven't really, I don't have a lot of experience on that. If you have the Viper tools, I would suggest in one of Michael's groups, asking this same question, because there's a lot of people in there that are a lot more experienced with video SEO using the Viper tools than I am, and they could probably give you a better answer. I'm good at the percentages for Google Traffic Viper and the GMB Viper, because that's what I do a lot of. But as far as the video stuff, like, I really don't know how to calculate views or what percentages or anything else, because I just haven't tested that, and I would be just pulling it out of thin air if I tried to give you some advice on that. So I would recommend posting that question specifically in the Viper Tools group, because there's a lot of people in there that's all they do is YouTube stuff, and they'll be able to give you much better advice. Hopefully that makes sense. He says, I've seen videos in the past giving solid info, but where tied to ranking GMB and or websites, or both. My case would be YouTube only. Yeah, that's precisely why I don't want to mislead you by giving you some incorrect answer that I'm really just guessing at. So hopefully that's clear. And I'm sorry I couldn't give you a better answer. P.S. I will pick up your battle plan next week. Okay, great. We just updated that. Isn't that right, Adam? Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Padre says, do you have a preferred domain registrar, Gracias? Well, I usually use Namecheap for a lot of stuff, but more recently I've been registering domains directly through Google. If you go to domains.google, and I like to do that because, for like any sort of lead gen asset that I'm setting up, or if it's for a new client or something like that, that doesn't already have a G Suite or formerly G Suite, now it's Google Workspace account. I like to buy the domain through Google Domains. It's $15 per year as opposed to like 10 or whatever it is on Namecheap, $12 or whatever. So it's a little bit more expensive. But what I like about it is it's an instant like validation signal to Google to register the domain through Google. And then throughout the checkout process, all you got to do is check a box and it will automatically add Google Workspace to that domain so that all the MX records are set up, the DKIM records, all that stuff, SPF, all those kind of things. If you've ever done any sort of email campaigns, you need to have all that stuff set up. And if you try to set up Workspace on your own, you have to go in and mess with DNS records and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to do that with Google Domains. You just check a box and it will automatically add it and configure everything for you. And the DNS is great because you can go, the advanced DNS settings in Google Domains is very much like Cloudflare. So if you're familiar with Cloudflare, you can still add all your custom DNS records that you want, just like you would in Cloudflare. And it's so I split most of my domains up between Namecheap, if they're like test domains and things like that. But if it's going to be a project that I'm going to build on, either for a client or for a lead gen asset, then I like to buy the domains through domains.google, because again, it's an instant validation signal. Like, for example, lead gen stuff for GMB. If I'm going to try to register a GMB somewhere, if I set up the domain through Google Domains first and add Workspace to the account, then I found that I haven't had any issues getting the postcard delivered or whatever, and then verifying the GMB. And I think it's because there's you're starting off from a paid account immediately, like right out of the gate. You're in a paid Google account, which is a validation signal. So hopefully that makes sense. Chris says, hey, Brad and team, thanks always for your time. Just posting this question in advance. What's been your experience with ranking the GMBs of EMD websites? I have multiple sites that are very generic and are usually named service plus city, which makes creating a branded entity within Google very difficult. Since the major GMB update earlier this year, all of my GMBs tanked, and it's been a challenge to recover them all now, but also ranking new GMBs has been harder than before. So I'm thinking branding is now playing a much bigger part in Google's algorithm. Just keen to hear your thoughts here. Yeah, Chris. Okay. So yes, it can be harder to rank a GMB with a very generic type name. I've actually got one that I intentionally set one up specifically to test, well, for a couple of reasons. And the project that I set one up for it's city tree service, right? So it's the name of the city and then tree service, which is very generic. And that's the brand for this location. And I did that intentionally for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to try to rank organically. So I used kind of it's almost an exact match domain, not quite. And I wanted to test that anyways, just straight up organic ranking. But then I also added a GMB to it, which I wasn't planning on doing originally. So I know what you mean. It can be difficult to do that, but you can build, the reason why it's hard to do that is because it's kind of an ambiguated, right? It's a common term. Usually when you have a brand name like that, it's because it's hard to establish it as an entity because it's really a generic term, right? So that's why, but you can still establish it as an entity. It just takes it takes more work, really. That's where the SEO Shield would come in. That's a great way to start. That includes, the syndication network, the G site and Drive Stack, an ID page, which is critically important for starting to establish the entity, press advantage organization page, and then, Pearl trees and everything else. But all of that stuff is a good start because you start to build out those tier 1 entity assets and increase your entity footprint, so to speak. Getting additional profile on additional Web 2.0 and social media accounts, all of that is important. Link building to that stuff to kind of start to power it up, to kind of solidify that. Press releases, that's another great way to do it, is to publish press releases with the brand name in the title often. And you can start to establish some authority that way as well, to kind of disambiguate that brand name from the general keyword search. But in my opinion, you really have to build the entity assets up and interlink them properly and use schema correctly on the money site with same as attributes to kind of link to all of your different profiles and assets online, branded assets for that brand and all of that. Those kind of things are really how you start to disambiguate that as its own entity, as opposed to being just a generic keyword, if that makes sense. So yeah, it can be harder, but it can still be done. And so again, pay attention, Chris, for next weekend, because the project that I used to show how to do the content mirroring process is the project that I'm talking about right now, which is, it's basically like an EMD. It's a very generic, it's city tree service, right? So the name of the city and then tree service, which is a very generic name, but I expect to see quite good results with it because of some of the stuff that I've applied to it, which a lot of that I'm sharing in the training next weekend for Black Friday. Okay. So hold on a minute. Also, yeah, go get the GMB process. If you don't already have it yet, Chris, it's free. It's 100% free. Go to gmbprocess.com, opt in, and then you can get the GMB process checklist. I had a number, like several dozen, over 30 GMBs tank in the middle of June, probably from the same update that you're talking about. And I've recovered more than over 80% of them I've recovered now by applying specifically everything that I've put in the GMB process checklist. So again, I had over 30 GMBs of my own tank in June because of probably the same algorithm update that you're talking about. And I scrambled for months. I tried, which was in all reality, I look at now as a blessing that it happened, because once I had over 30 GMBs tank, I had a whole bunch of them to test with, to test various methods or tactics in isolation. And what I did was across, over a dozen of them, I had started testing various, SEO tactics. And in isolation, meaning I would apply one SEO tactic to one GMB location, and then I would wait and monitor it and see what kind of movement I would get. And I started to identify certain tactics that produced, movement, positive movement. And then I started combining them. And over the course of several months, how I developed the GMB process checklist, because it was all of the things that I did that I found moved the needle positively, right? Had a positive effect. And when combined, even in very, very competitive areas, if you do everything in the GMB process checklist, which isn't necessary for, most locations, but in very competitive areas, it is, you'll have to do everything. But I've been able to recover, like I said, over 80% of my own GMBs, but also apply the same process to brand new GMBs for like clients, or established GMBs, but that just weren't ranking at all for clients. And I've been able to get all of them into the Maps 3-pack within 90 days following that specific process. So, it is a little bit more of an uphill battle with the generic brand name, so to speak, but you can still do it. There is no question. If you follow everything that I teach or that I share in the GMB process checklist, you will be able to kind of solidify the entity even for a generic term like that, and actually start to get results. So just take it one step at a time. That's why I like that process checklist, guys, because you don't have to do everything. You do it in stages, right? It could take you 90 days to complete everything. So be it. It'll work. You'll get results. I promise you. All right. Says, I'm thinking my best move is to rebrand as many GMBs and sites as I can to give them a more branded profile in Google's eyes. Yeah, you can do that. The problem that I see with that is every time you go in to rebrand a GMB, you're risking losing it. And, you know, it makes sense to do that. Part of the process, one of my lead gen assets that got hit really hard was a multi-location lead gen brand in June. That was one of them that got hit real hard. And so I had like 12 different locations associated with that one brand. And I was able to go in and just append the city name to the brand name. So, and I was afraid that I was going to lose GMBs that way, but fortunately I didn't lose a single one. But I would be really cautious about going in and because think about this. I had a unique brand name for those 12 locations, and they all just had the brand name for each individual GMB. There was no location modifier attached to it. But all I did was I went back in and I did it to 10 of them. There's still 2 locations out there that I did not append the city name to, but 10 of them I did. I went in and appended the city name. So it was, you know, generic tree service, whatever the name was, and then the city name. And I was afraid I was going to lose, you know, so I was real cautious about it. I would do one at a time over the course of several weeks and, you know, to see if I got any suspended. And fortunately they weren't, but that was a very minor change, right? Because all I did was add the city name to an existing brand name. To go in and completely change the name of a GMB, I would be really cautious to do that. I mean, you might want to try it on one, and if you get lucky and it doesn't get suspended, then you could start to very slowly, cautiously doing it to your others. But you know, if you lose one, then I would recommend stopping immediately and don't try it again, because there's a very likely chance that it could get suspended for a significant brand name change, right? But you never know without trying. But I would just caution against that because you could start to lose your assets. Follow the GMB process, and you should be able to get results. And then also the content mirroring process that I'm talking about, we're sharing next weekend, guys. That's a great SEO strategy. And it can actually help you in a situation like this as well. Just to clarify my main keyword, I'm trying to rank for GMB is also my brand name. Yeah, I get that. I understand that. Gordon, what's up, Gordon? He says, hey guys, happy hump day to you. Just 2 quick related questions. Number 1, if I'm remembering correctly, some time ago, the organic ranking for a website had a significant effect on the related GMB ranking. So first page site ranking was important. Then it changed to the organic site ranking made little to no difference. Does the organic site ranking currently have any effect on the GMB ranking? And if so, how much of an effect? You know, I don't know 100%. Gordon, I don't really have a good answer for you on that one. And the reason why is because, as I've said, you know, numerous times over the last few months, I didn't care at all about organic rankings for years because there wasn't much of a correlation. I could rank GMBs all day long into the 3-pack, and I didn't care if the organic page, so the associated website or location landing page, where it ranked organically. So oftentimes it would be on page 3, you know, page 3 or 4, and I didn't care. Because I was ranking in the maps pack, which was all that really mattered, because that's where most of the calls come from for the clients that I work with, and my lead gen, my you know, the industries that I work with is what I'm saying. But then when I had all my, you know, dozens, over 30 GMBs tank in June, I was like, man, if I had also worked on organic rankings, I wouldn't have taken such a hit with my revenue, right? Because I could have still had some calls and revenue coming in from the organic rankings. So I started really focusing on that also, in addition to trying to figure out how to recover those GMBs, which is where the GMB process checklist came from. And so now I try to dual track everything, right? I try to not only rank the GMB, but also rank the website in organic as well. So I don't know how much of because I'm doing both of them simultaneously now, I can still rank in the GM. It's interesting though, because I've got a client that I'm having a hell of a time getting their GMB to rank. But I got them to rank organically. And then I've got other areas where I've got the GMB ranking, but the organic rankings are slow to catch up. So I don't know if there's still, I know one thing for sure though, Gordon, and I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for you, but I do know one thing for sure. Google is absolutely reading and pulling in data from the associated website into the GMB asset and displaying content that's found on the website in Google search. Even in the Maps pack, you'll see sometimes like underneath the contact information in the Maps pack, you'll see like a snippet where it'll have like a summary or a description or anything else. It'll say their website mentions, for example, things like that. And that's a lot of the times that's data that's being pulled from the website, or it's being pulled from reviews, like from customer reviews on the GMB and things like that. So I know that Google is pulling data from the website to auto-populate descriptions and things like that in the SERPs and even in the GMB, even in Google Maps, which is what I'm saying. So there is absolutely a relationship there. But as far as how critical is it to rank organically, to rank in Maps, I don't know that it's still absolutely critical. I just know that I am trying to dual track it and achieve both at the same time. If that makes sense. And again, I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for that. I think it's becoming more important, but I don't know 100% for sure, because like I said, I do have assets out there where I don't even have self-hosted websites. It's just GMB stuff, and I've been able to rank. So, but then, again, I think it's important to add you can get better results if you have a well-optimized website that's associated with the GMB than you can, or faster results anyways, than you can with just a GMB alone. Does that make sense? I know because I've got several clients that's all that tree service clients that just didn't care about having a website. And I won't build a website for a client, like a self-hosted website, unless they specifically request it, right? And then they pay for it too. But for a lot of the tree clients that I've landed this year, I've told them flat out, you don't need a website. We can build it as a free website in Google My Business. And we just use that and still been able to rank. So there's no associated website. Is that clear? Anyway, test it and see as best I can say. I mean, if you're going to have associated website with the GMB, my suggestion is to also try to rank that organically. Try to do both. And I teach exactly what I do to get both results in the GMB process checklist. Question number 2, if you have a client with say 5 reviews on their GMB and their top competitors have say between 15 and 30 reviews, can you use just GMB profile optimization and backlinks to beat out those competitors and get them into the 3-pack, or do you have to also help them increase their reviews? Thanks a lot for your help. It's always much appreciated. Well, reviews do help. I feel like in the last few months, especially, reviews have become more important, but you can still rank without them. There's no question you can still rank without them. I just think it's a heavier lift, right? It's a bigger hill to climb when you don't have reviews. If you can get reviews, I've noticed beyond a shadow of a doubt, like for example, I use High Level. And so some of my clients, very rarely do tree service contractors have a digital database of former clients, but occasionally I will land a tree service contractor that has kept a customer list in some digital format, excuse me. And I'm able to get them to give me their customer list, their previous customer list, past customer list, I should say, and a CSV or an Excel file. And then I can upload that in the High Level. I create a sub account for them in my High Level account. And then I upload that contact list and then do a review solicitation or a feedback request campaign. And in the past few months, I've had a couple of clients that have like gone from, 6 reviews to 45 reviews in a matter of, 2 months, right? Because we just started sending out email and text messages to previous clients, as well as every time they get new jobs, once I've created added them to my High Level account, every time they close a job or complete a job, it automatically sends the customer an SMS text message and an email asking for feedback to leave a review, essentially. And so within just a few short weeks, we've been able to go from, less than 10 reviews to well over 40 or 50 reviews. And I've seen GMBs move very quickly into the Maps pack because of that. So I know there is an effect from the reviews. But I also know you can rank without them. But I feel like reviews have taken a more important role in GMB prominence more recently. And so I feel like that's something that you should be trying to do, is getting more reviews. for your clients, working with them to try to get more reviews. But yeah, you can still rank without that. Follow the GMB process checklist, Gordon. And that, exactly everything that I do to rank GMBs is in that process checklist. Okay. A lot of that has to do with backlinks, yes, but also GMB posts. The content mirroring process that I'll be sharing next weekend as part of the Black Friday deal. That's going to help you as well with maps ranking. Okay. So anyway, but yeah, I think definitely reviews are certainly becoming or have become more important recently. But I know you can still get results without them. Olaf, what's up, Olaf? It says, when interlinking GMB posts, do I link to the post on the GMB website or the actual post? Well, the actual post, I'm not sure what you mean by that, but when you're interlinking I always like to link. It depends on what it is you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to do like what I call a push silo, again, the diagrams and the methods for the two different types of silos that I do with GMB posts are in the GMB process checklist, gmbprocess.com. But I do two types of GMB post silos. One is called a push silo, which is to essentially push all of the link equity from the silo out through one target to one target URL. Okay. And if that's the case, then you want to daisy chain posts together using the inner page URLs from the GMB website. Okay. But if you're doing the other type of silo, GMB post silo structure is called a mirror silo. And a mirror silo is slightly different because you daisy chain or silo the GMB post together using the inner page URL still, but you do that as a text link within the post body of the GMB post. So to be clear, a CTA button, so the button, a call to action button on a GMB post is a follow link. So if you're trying to push link equity, then you want to always link using the inner page URL from the GMB website for the post. Okay. But if you're trying to get engagement signals, then the best URL to use for the GMB posts is the share URL, either in Google Maps or from the knowledge panel. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is GMB posts have a share URL, but any share URL for GMB posts go through multiple 302 redirects, which means it will not pass link equity. PageRank does not pass through 302 redirects. But those are the URLs that Google is expecting to see click activity on. Does that make sense? So you can use both. If you're trying purely SEO methods, you're going to always use the inner page URL from the GMB website for each post. Okay, because that will pass there. There are no 302 redirects in that. So you can push link equity through those posts. And if you're doing a silo, you would daisy chain them together using a push silo. You would, the CTA button would link to whatever you're trying to push link equity to at the top of silo GMB post. And in each subsequent post would link with the CTA button to the inner page URL of the previous post. Does that make sense? And that way, if you have got all five GMB posts all daisy chained together, and you do a shit ton of link building to all 5 of those GMB posts, all of the link equity is going to flow through the CTA buttons to the inner page URLs, passing link equity from post 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1, and then out the CTA button to whatever your target URL is. So all that link equity goes through that one. That's why I call it a push silo, because it's pushing all of it through one target URL at the top of silo post through the CTA button. So in that case, you always want to use the inner page URLs. Does that make sense? But if you're going to be doing something like click-through rate manipulation, which absolutely works, then you want to be you want to use the share URLs, because Google is expecting to see click activity on those share URLs. So it depends on what your strategy is. Purely SEO methods, you want to use inner page URLs always. But for a more natural looking for sending engagement signals and everything else, you want to use the share URLs. So it just depends on what your goal is. Okay. I recommend doing both, because for SEO purposes, you use a push silo, inner page URLs, and you can push link equity anywhere you want with that method, but also doing click-throughs, so to essentially manipulate engagement signals using share URLs. So you can do both. And I would recommend doing both, because you'll get better results than if you just do one or the other. Okay. Also, what does this mean? Embed GMB site. add schema, add KML and Geositemap files to the domain root. Well, again, guys, the whole point of the GMB checklist is to be conceptual, like high level overview. I can't share and give away exactly all the, like how to execute every task here in a free setting. That's what the Semantic Mastery Mastermind is for, Olaf. So I apologize. Come join the mastermind. You want to get step-by-step instructions for how to execute every single one of the tasks in the GMB process checklist. That's where that's what the mastermind is for. In fact, just so you guys know, I am actually in the process of developing full set SOPs, standard operating procedures for every task in the GMB process checklist. My goal is to have it done by the end of January, in part because Google's changing things around. And I know I'm going to end up having to redo a lot of it because Google My Business dashboard is supposed to be going away, except for multi-location businesses. So anyway, what I'm trying to get at is I'm developing SOPs for every one of the tasks in the GMB process checklist. Mastermind members will get those. They won't be available anywhere else. End of story. So if you want full on standard operating procedures that you could even hand off to a VA, come join the mastermind. If you just want it to learn how to do it on your own, come join the mastermind. If you got questions about specifics within the GMB process checklist, come join the mastermind, guys. We have a great quarterly offer. Check it out. Come try us out for 3 months, and you can ask as many questions, as specific questions. I go into mastermind webinars and actually teach. I show real live examples, my own assets, everything else in the mastermind. I would encourage you to come check it out. One of you guys going to comment?
I was going to ask you if somebody wanted to ask you personally about how to do this stuff, where would they be able to do that?
In the mastermind.
There we go.
Not only that, but when you join the mastermind, you get a 30-minute onboarding call with me, which is generally just so I can find out about you and your business and find out like how to point you in the right direction to get the best use out of the mastermind. But I love those calls because it always shows me or reveals to me areas of weaknesses in other people's businesses, so that it helps me to develop training around that on like how to resolve issues and that sort of thing. So I really enjoy that. And Aaron, you haven't scheduled a call with me yet. He joined the mastermind, right? From the winner of the 7-year anniversary. Anyway, Aaron, make sure you schedule your call with me, buddy. I haven't seen it yet, but you get 30 minutes with me. So do that. Anyway, so Olaf, again, sorry, I don't mean to be so vague, but I cannot give away exactly how to execute everything in there in a free setting. That would be stupid. Right? That's what the mastermind's for. I've spent years learning how to do all this stuff. I'm not going to give it away in a free setting. Unfortunately, that's just the way that it is. Okay. Aaron says, I will be in line at 5 a.m. for Black Friday. This is much better than standing in the rain at Walmart. Amen. I totally agree with that. And all of you out there that do that crazy Black Friday shopping stuff, well, God bless you, but I think you're fucking crazy. That's just my own opinion.
Order online now?
What's that?
Can't you order it online?
Yeah, and I think after last year, I mean, that's people are used to that now, right? So anyway, moving on. Risa, looking forward to Black Friday training. Where do I sign up? As long as you're subscribed to one of our email lists, you'll get notifications on it. If you're in our Facebook groups, we'll post in the Facebook groups and all that too. So there'll be plenty of places to get notified about it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get notified when we go live on YouTube, Facebook groups, email list, all that. Okay. You can also subscribe down here, right here. Okay. Oh, cool. We're almost done. Guys, if you've got any other questions, post them. I didn't think we'd get through all of them today, but maybe I can do a few minutes of just kind of reiterating what I was talking, some of my answers earlier by pulling open the GMB process checklist and looking at the diagrams. We'll look at that in just a minute, but if you got questions, post them now. Greg says, hey, Bradley, if I understood you correctly, you only did GMB local pack for your clients. How did you manage your clients while the GMBs tanked? Well, fortunately, I didn't have any client GMBs tank, which was amazing. It was all lead gen stuff. They were all my own that tanked. And that was in June. And a lot of it, I think, had to do with the fact that, Google knew that they were tied to not really business locations, right? Each one of the GMBs were either post offices, but, at a PO box. So registered to a United States Postal Service address, or they were, the spammed like pin drop method, which I don't like at all. I don't like using GMBs or trying to optimize GMBs that were verified with the pin drop method, because I just don't like doing them. They tend to get suspended at some point anyway, so I don't like to put a lot of work into those. I've got a ton of GMBs that I've registered to PO boxes. So they have the United States Postal Service street address for that location, that post office location. And then it has the box number. And Google can easily tell that, right? So I think that's why that I had so many of my lead gen assets tank, was because of that reason specifically. But I was still able to recover more than 80% of them. And the only reason why I haven't recovered all of them is because there's a number of them that just that didn't really generate a lot of leads, even when they were in the 3-pack. So they just weren't worth the effort, is what I'm saying. For me, eventually I'm sure we'll end up, working on those to recover those as well. But the most important GMBs all got recovered, and it's because I put the effort and the work into those. But yeah, I mean, like I said, as far as clients, thank God I didn't have any, and it's probably because the clients all had GMBs that were registered to real valid locations, if that makes sense. And so I think that's what the cause was, for the reason that I had like over 30 locations tank, because my clients didn't experience that. Thank God. Thank God. Greg said, do you still find unclaimed GMBs in 2021? Yeah, you can. You can still find them. I mean, I know some people will go out and there's kind of methods to go out and actually claim unclaimed GMBs. I haven't messed with that. Like I said, if I want a GMB, I will register it to a PO box or a virtual mailbox. And that's how I get my GMBs now. For clients, I always try to register them directly to their home address. If they don't have a lot of tree contractors, their business is registered to their home. So, we'll do that, or we'll find somebody. If a tree contractor wants a larger service area and they want another GMB, I'll tell them, fine, you got a family member or a friend in that other city that you want a GMB, we'll register it there. And I try to do it that way. I try not to do like virtual mailboxes or PO boxes for clients, because I know there's always that danger of them being suspended. So I try to always have them figure out how to get a postcard sent to an address in the cities that they want. And typically they'll have family members, relatives, friends, something in the city that they want, and we can register them that way. Okay, cool. We still got a couple of minutes, so let's do this. I just kind of want to reiterate what I'm talking about here, guys. All right, so this is the process checklist that I keep touting, and it's because I use this myself in my own business. I'm moving all of this stuff into a different app instead of Process Street. I've liked Process Street, but I've got a different app now. So the training for next weekend and for Black Friday, everything is in the other app. It's called Flowster. I'll explain that next weekend when I share the training. But this is the whole process, guys. I mean, again, there's these three modules. The first 3 modules you should complete 100% for every asset, period. For every location, you should do the first 3 modules to 100% completion. Then the stuff where for low to medium competition, you won't have to do everything in the checklist, because you'll start to get results as you start building out completing the tasks in the tier 1 link building. So let me back up. What I'm trying to say is the first 3 modules should be 100% completed. GMB profile should be fully optimized. I talk about specifically how I optimize my GMB profiles right here. Okay. Entity assets. Every one of these should be set up. Okay. Every one of these should be set up. If you have a real valid business location, I talk about building citations. If you don't have a real valid business location, I specifically state, don't build citations. Okay. And I've talked about that many times, but there's reasons for that. But everything that I do is right here. There are some things that I've been testing recently that I'm going to be updating these when I transfer the process checklist into the new app called Flowster. I'm going to be adding a couple of other things in there as well. But these are exactly what I do. And you get all of this done 100%. And in the GMB post silos, you only need to do 3, at least the way that I do it. I only need to do 3 post silos, and I do 3 push silos. Okay. And that's because the way that I do everything now is I treat my location landing page, if there's an associated website with the GMB, not always, not all locations have an associated website. Because like I said, I've got a number of clients now that we don't have a self-hosted website. We just do the GMB website and that's it. What I'm trying to say is if you do have a location landing page, I treat the GMB website, the GMB CID map URL and the location landing page all as money sites, right? And I know these are technically tier 1 assets, but I treat all 3 of these now as if they were money sites because I like to keep a clean link profile to these 2 as well. Just like we always talk about, you always want to keep a clean link profile to your self-hosted money site. But Google properties, historically, we've been able to spam the shit out of them and get results because they're Google properties. However, I still like to keep these now very clean link profiles, very much like my money site, right? Because then I can spam the hell out of all these assets out here, which are all just tier 1 entity assets. Okay, so what I'm saying is I like to do 3 separate push silos. Here's a push silo, right? So this is how you daisy chain these posts together with the CTA button linking to the previous post URL as an inner page from the GMB website, not the share URL, because you can't pass link equity through the share URLs. Okay, so it's the inner page URL of the GMB website. Daisy chain those together, and whatever you link to with the CTA button at the top of silo post, that's where you're going to be pushing that link equity to. But guys, remember, publishing GMB posts is not going to create any link equity, right? You have to build links to your GMB posts, right? And or embeds, and then link building to the embeds, or both, all of the above. But that's how you power these up. You got to push link equity into this silo to get really any effect out of it, right? So that's why I'm saying I do 3 separate push silos. I do 1 for each one of these assets right here. 1 here, 1 push silo there, 1 push silo there, 1 push silo there. And that's it. That's all you need, right? From there, because it's all about link building to power up those push silos. And then if you're doing ongoing content marketing, like blogging for a client, then that's where the mirror silos come in. And that's more of an ongoing strategy. But for the initial push, I do 3 push silos. If there's an associated website, if there's not, I do 2 push silos, right? And then it's about powering up those silos and then starting to, after you've got that done, remember, that's the first 3 modules. And then it's about going out and systematically or kind of methodically working your way through building out the additional tier 1 entity assets. And as those tier 1 entity assets are completed, you immediately start the tier 2 link building process to those assets. And that's where I'm getting at, where this does not have to be 100% complete. This doesn't, right? Link building tier 1, you don't have to do all of this here, because let's say that you just get through. Remember, guys, if you order an SEO power sheet, you're going to get these 3 right here already built for you, and the syndication network properties and the RYSG sheet. So and then this is an individual Tumblr post, WordPress post, and Blogger post from your branded syndication network properties, not syndicated content. These are separate and unique posts that have been entity tuned or SEO tuned content, which we're going to have a service available for that here shortly as well. But that's separate and unique posts that have been tuned that you can use to manipulate anchor text ratios for all 3 of these assets. But what I'm saying is all of these right here, except for the redirects, all of these right here are built. Well, these right here, mainly these 2 groups, tier 1 groups, are built using when you have an SEO power shield, right? So these are already done for you. Okay. Then you have the branded profiles, but what you need here is to go out and develop or purchase entity tuned content that you use to manipulate anchor text ratios for these 3 assets, plus embeds, because you can embed the GMB website, you can embed the GMB map, and then you can, strategically place links with specific anchor text back to these properties in each one of these posts. But you don't need additional assets for these. These are your branded syndication network properties. You just need separate and unique content that's been well tuned. Treat your tier 1 entity content like it's your money site content. That's what I'm saying. Okay. And so my point is, you have these assets right off the bat with your SEO shield. Okay. So immediately start doing tier 2 link building, the process, the method that I share right here, to these assets, right? To these tier 1 entity assets. And what you'll start to see is, with low competition stuff, you'll probably see considerable map movement by just tier 2 link building, the process that's described in this checklist, to these assets, which are already created for you when you have an SEO shield. Okay. Then as needed for medium and high competition stuff, you're going to have to start going through and building out these tier one, this additional tier one content, right? And so I recommend starting with the properties you already have. So you do a separate and unique Tumblr post, separate and unique WordPress post, and a separate and unique Blogger post. Okay. And as you complete those, you start tier 2 link building to those assets. And for medium competition, you'll start to see significant movement. And then for high competition, then you also are going to need to start building out some additional assets, right? So, and I like to use Web 2s for this, guys, specifically because I have full control over all the content on the Web 2 pages. You can do it with other assets like tier 1, like guest posts and things like that. But I don't like those because I don't have control over those assets. And typically there's going to be a shit ton of internal links, like with guest posts, you know, on a page. If you buy a guest post, you're going to have your post page is going to have all kinds of internal links to other areas of that website where that guest post is published on. And so if you do a bunch of link building to that, you're going to be splitting equity to all the links on that page. So you're only going to get a fraction of the link equity from the tier 2 links, because you're actually going to be powering up all the internal pages that are linked to from that guest post page, if that makes sense. Or citations is another example. If you want to power up citations, and that's a good strategy, guys. But if you're building links to citations, remember all the links on that citation page you're going to be splitting your link equity across all those links. So your target URL is only going to be getting a small fraction of it. That's why I like to take my time and build out content as if it were money site content on Web 2.0 properties that I have 100% control over. So I can control the number of links on that page. And that way, when I start doing tier 2 link building, I know that all my link equity is focused and distributing across only my target URLs within the post body of those posts. If that makes sense. So that's why I said, guys, you just start building out your tier 1 assets, and immediately upon completion of building these out, you start your tier 2 link building, and you'll start seeing significant movement. And only in the most competitive locations are you going to need to go through all of this process, right? Because you'll start to rank with low competition before you probably even get to this part. With medium competition, you'll start seeing significant movement as you're building these out. And with high competition, you may need to do even more tier 1 groups and then link build to those, if that makes sense. So anyway, come join the mastermind if you guys want full training on all this stuff. I'm happy to share it there. That's where I share it all. You know, I do a lot of training on that stuff in there. So anyways, it looks like we're done. I don't see any other questions, guys. So let's wrap it up.
All righty.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you all next week. Black Friday